Hi there, welcome back. So, issue 2 of Combat Patrol. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the magazine. We are going to build the Von Ryan's Leapers, and then we will do the little playthrough at the end, for which we will require probably last week's miniatures from issue 1. Now, I received my delivery from Hachette, so I have got issue 2. I've got another copy of issue number 1, because last week I got one from my newsagent, and I also got their kind of assembly kit. So you get a cheap set of clippers, and a very basic mold line remover. Now, obviously, anyone who's collected these collections in the past, you will have definitely received these. And I will say that these clippers they're not the best, but for something that comes free with some magazines, they are good. They are good. They do the job. They're capable of doing the job. And this mold line remover, exactly the same. It is more than capable of doing the job that you require. So yeah, issue 2. So if you haven't seen issue number 1 or know what's in it or anything like that, just jump back through my channel and you can see from last week my full review of that issue there, where we received these 2 models. Now, I'd appreciate some feedback if you don't mind, actually, guys. I had a message in one of my videos which I released yesterday saying there was some problems with my mic, and it wasn't loud enough. So I would very much appreciate some feedback there to just let me know if it's too loud or too quiet or anything like that. Just let me know in the comments. I would really massively appreciate it, because it's a problem I would like to get rid of. So, Combat Patrol issue number 2. We'll go through the sprue and that in a minute when we do the assembly. But let's get into it. Welcome to the second issue of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol. In this issue, you get started by building your new miniatures, 3 terrifying Von Ryan's Leapers. You'll also start your painting journey with your very first paint article, and learn more about the Imperium and the vast swarms of the Tyranids that threaten the galaxy. Finally, you'll unleash your new Tyranid unit in the latest play article and learn how to fight with units that consist of multiple models. So we'll get onto all of that sort of stuff in a minute. So let's get straight into the assembly then. Oh, sorry. Let's quickly finish going through the content. So we've got the build guide, the paint guide, even though we don't have any paint yet. The read section, which is small, so we learn about the Imperium, some Vanguard swarms and invasion swarms. Then collect. What does that mean? There'll be details about the Von Ryan Leapers and Tyranid units in general, and then our play section, Predator and Prey. Okay, so this is the first time I'm going through any building for this series. If anyone wants a build guide from issue number 1, let me know. Okay, you know, I have got a spare issue. I can go back and kind of create one for camera. That would be no problem at all. So if you want one, let me know and I'll do it. But yeah, in this guide, you'll learn how to build your Von Ryan's Leapers. Read the instructions in full before you begin. Okay, so I'll use this my guide so I know what I'm doing, but I'll tell you my process generally for building. I got sucked in by the expensive Games Workshop modeling stuff previously, so this is what I use. But if you have got what came with the magazine, you will be absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So let's get started. So what I do is I take it section by section. So everything required for this model is basically pieces 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So right, the first section there is parts 1 to 3. So let's clip those pieces off. Now, if you are experienced in kind of assembly, when you're clipping off of the sprue, you will know where to do it. But basically, if you just give a little sort of 0.5 millimetre space between the end of the sprue and the actual model itself, and then you can clean up afterwards, because sometimes you can chop out a little bit of the detail by accident. That's what I do anyway. And in fact, if you clean up with a hobby knife, or as we call a scalpel in the UK, well, it's scalpel anyway, but yeah, if you use anything like that sort of knife, you can pretty much do all of your clipping with that as well and get the best possible results. But today I'm just going with the tried and tested method, and as usual I spend all the time looking for the right pieces on the sprue. Okay, so that's parts 1 to 3 there. So all of these are push fit, and I will leave it up to you whether or not you decide to do that. I personally like to support with some glue, but we'll see how it goes. Sometimes if I feel like it's just not going right, I just clip off the sprue points completely and just glue it as I would a normal model. But yeah, I'll leave you guys to make that decision. Okay, so got this going on here. Let's see how this starts going together. That's gone together great, actually. I won't even need to glue that because it's a very, very good seal. So no glue required. So that section has gone onto there. So I'm very happy with that. Okay, and then we've got part 3, which kind of goes next to the mouth. So let's try the same with that, see how we get on. Right, it's gone on very well as well. So no need for glue, no messing about there. So looking good so far. Okay, so the next parts we need is parts 4 and 8. That's the first 2 legs. Okay, right. So 4 and 8 are going on the right hand side. 8, which is the chunkier bit, goes in here. You can see this. If you look at that bottom section there, you can see there's a main hole and a small one above it. You can see from the connection point it is the same, so you will feel it kind of fit in nicely. It does feel quite robust. So actually, surprisingly, no glue required yet. And part 8 is on the same side. It appears to be the first of the 2 holes there that go in. Yeah, sorry, I had some problems there looking at sort of how it was posed. But there you go. So that's how it should look like with those bits. And now we're looking for pieces 5 and 9. And these basically go corresponding on the other side. So we had that leg and then we had that arm. So we're kind of working up the model. And it will be the same on this side. So we'll start with the leg. And again, that has 2 points on there. So you can see you've got the larger hole and then a smaller hole below it. It fits in with the same format there. So let's just push that together. Okay, so a little bit more force required with that one, but it's gone in nicely. And we'll quickly slot this one in as well a little bit further up. Okay, so that's how we are now so far. And then the final two pieces, which are number 6 and 7, which are kind of the largest appendages, or the longest at least. Kind of the chunkiest are the hind legs, but these are definitely the longest. Okay, so back from this pose, the point 6 or part 6 goes on the right hand side. And you can see that although the hole itself is round, the rest of the area is sort of shaped identically to the kind of, see where it's got the sprue point, and then it's got the sort of flat area below it, so that it is marked the same as that. So let's see how easy that is to put in. There you go, fit nicely. Again, no gaps or anything, which is good. Do the same on the other side. Okay, so there's a bit of mucking about going on with this one. So I am going to go and do what I normally do. I'm going to clip off the end of that sprue point. If you don't have glue yet, then just persevere with fitting it in. There you go, I've clipped off the end of the sprue point, and I've got some plastic glue here. I'm using Citadel. You don't have to use that. There are plenty of others that are available. Now I'm suffering from quite a common hobby problem in that my reservoir for my tubble glue is clogged with glue. Now this is very, very common. Most of you already know this, but basically take your clippers or something to hold it in and get a lighter and then just warm it up. And the glue started to come out already. I should now see the glue starts to run freer. There we go. So that's on there, just enough to cover the sprue point. We attach the piece. I normally count to sort of 15 or so. In fact, while I'm holding that in place, I'll fix it to the base as well. There is our first Von Ryan's Leaper. Right, let's move on to number 2. I'll tell you what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to clip off all of the sprue pieces and line them up. So, you need 10, 11 and 12. So it doesn't matter if, well, for me, it doesn't matter if I clip them all off at the same time, but I have to line them up in order. That's 11. Let's find 10. Right, 10, 11, 12, and then next we need 13 and 17. So I'm not doing it in order of the actual sprue parts. I'm doing it in the order of assembly. 13, then 18 and 14. Right, okay, so 10, 11 and 12, fairly straightforward. We've got part 10 now, which doesn't have another side to it in terms of the torso, so we know that that's what goes there. See how this lines up in the same way as the last one did. Very good again, but I can see I haven't clipped all of the sprue point off of this piece. Still quite a lot left there, but I can go back and get in there with my hobby knife later and do it. Okay, part 12 goes on this side, the completed side. Right, 13 is the hind leg on that same side. It's actually very sort of scrunched up, it appears to be. That's 13, and 17 is the piece directly above it. That is sort of positioned so as the sort of elbow part is kind of just behind. So it's like that. Do the same on the other side, so hind leg. Again, that's another one that's got a kind of double little hole on there, so you can see that you've got the main round bit where the sprue goes in, and then there's an extra little knobbly bit there that goes just below it. So you can see where that lines up because it's got a little hole to accept that bit there. Kind of helps to kind of get a good fit on that. Okay, and then the arm in this, the kind of lower arm on the same side. See how that fits. All right. Okay, good. So you can see the sort of elbows poking at the back there. So that's how we are. And then we've got finally the two upper bits. 15 is on his left. Okay, a little bit of forcing required for that, but not enough to kind of damage any of the other parts of the model. And then 16 is much the same. Let's have a look. Perfect. So there's only one. Oh, right, and there is another kind of, because our base has got two holes on it, but this only connects with one. There is a tiny little sort of, I couldn't even call it terrain piece. A little bit of, tiny bit of scenery, a little bit of basing material that also goes on the base. So the little bit of basing material goes on the piece that is nearer the front, like so. And the rest of our Von Leapers Ryan goes directly behind it in a position so it's like that. Is that right? There you go. It's a bit more like it. Very cool. Loving these models. Okay, so that's our second one. And finally, the third one, we're going to do the same way as we did at the second one. So we'll do all the pieces first, and then we'll put it together. So 20, 21, and 22. This, the same as the last one, has a tiny little piece of basing material on it as well, which goes to the more central one. We'll just add that in there now, actually. Doesn't really matter how it's oriented, to be honest with you. It's not part of the model, it's just part of the scenery. That's really tough to get in there, this one. Turned into spiky, so yeah, be careful with how you put this stuff together. Right, okay, so torsos. It's obvious where the torso goes. It always lines up along the kind of crest of the back. So the previous ones have gone together very nicely. This one is exactly the same. Okay, and add the little face piece. Only one place that can go. Make sure it lines up to the rest of the face. Okay, 23 and 27. So that is on the left hand side of the model. 23 is on the bottom part. Again, it's got a little pilot to kind of go to. It's a slightly more extended arm for well, they're called leapers. Definitely for like a longer jump, it looks like on that one. Okay, 27 goes just above it. So what you can do, here's what I try and do. If it's a bit fiddly and you've got something like just a bent arm, you can see where the plastic's gone a bit white there, where I've started to bend it. But where it's sort of bent at the elbow, you can be forced to push on the other side of the plastic, which is just going to try and separate the two bits of plastic. So what I try to do in situations where like this where I can't get it to go, is I'm going to clip this off. I'm going to glue it again. And now that it's clipped off, I can feel where it fits properly in there, because I haven't got to push the sprue connection, and then I can glue it from that point. Okay, so that's sort of started to glue nicely. It's quite a sort of understated pose on that piece. Try and line up the other side. We'll start with the leg. Again, it does have that sort of double sprue point, very helpful, especially for if we're just going and trusting with the push fit, and that feels good. All right, next part again, the lower part. Okay, so there's the final sort of technique to try and do is, if you can feel the sort of sprue goes slightly in, you can just sort of start wiggling it back and forth so you can go in a bit further. And then what you can do is, with the flat part, your mold line remover, sort of rest that on the flat area and just push it in that last little bit. There you go. Don't use the edge because you'll create an almighty hole. And then sort of a slight reposition there. So there you go. My glued bit came out again, so I'm just going to reattach that as well. Right, so that's how we look. Kind of slightly understated there, but it will make all the difference when we get on our last two pieces, which is the main kind of claw bits. Okay, so that goes onto the base as well. So this, so this, it only connects via 1 foot, and it goes right at the back of the base. Cool, that's my favourite one, I think, to be honest with you. I think that's my favourite one. Let's just see, is a slight repose for the top limbs. Okay, cool. Very nice. Now, what I haven't done is actual mold line removals. Removing mold lines, honestly, let's actually have a look at this captain, because there might be some kind of easier places to look on here. Mold line removal is an exercise really in patience, and go as far as you want to go with it, really. I actually must have cleaned that one up. Yeah, go as far as you want to go with it, really. Your mold line remover can do multiple jobs. So, for example, if you can see just on the back of the tail there, you can see the mold line that's already on there. So we can help get rid of that. But there's also a sprue point there as well. You could do cleaning up as well. So I'll just get in there with my clipper, see if there's a last little section of that I can just trim off. And then I can just sort of smooth the rest out. In fact, let's use the new mold line. You can see the little pieces sort of coming off there. And so this is not only taking away the mold line, it's also cleaning up that sprue point as well. If you've got a hobby knife, it works so much better than these do. Whether you use the blade or the flat at the back. But yeah, certainly mold line. Get rid of your sprue points, definitely. Mold lines, go as far as you want to go with it. Right, okay, so let's crack on with the magazine. So we've done this bit. Now we've got the how to paint section. We don't have any paints yet. I'll give you my sort of usual eulogy when it comes to painting these models. And what you'll see, they've got, you know, all this standard stuff is great. Base coats, do a base, then you do your shades, then you do your highlights. That is the basics of every miniature that you want to paint. Okay. At the early stage, base coats, shades, and highlights. Even if you're using contrast paints and that kind of thing, the base coat, well, it's not a base coat, but for me, you must prime your miniature, because it's going to stop a whole load of chipping and that kind of thing. I'm not saying it's kind of makes your model immune to chipping. And what I mean by chipping is literally the paint chipping off. If you don't have an undercoat, a spray undercoat, it's just much more likely that your models are going to chip. It is possible to paint them without a sprayed undercoat, but yeah, it's just a bit of a pain. So it actually doesn't go that far here. It gives you that sort of little bit of fundamental stuff about base coat, shades, and highlights, but then it just tells you more about what's going to come up. So I'll leave it there actually. Okay, so the next section we're talking about the Imperium. The Imperium is the greatest and most powerful empire humanity has ever known. Through zealotry and fervent belief, it claims dominion over 1 million worlds. Then it goes on for a little bit of history. Since its founding 10,000 years ago, always been dedicated to war. It was first forged in the fires of the Great Crusade. Blah blah blah. Lots of cool and interesting stuff there. Next, it has the Defenders of Humanity. So it talks about some of the kind of factions of the Imperium. So it's got Space Marines. We have the Astra Militarum, Pew Pew, Adeptus Sororitas, and the Adeptus Mechanicus. Anyone remember a few years ago when there was a potential idea that the Adeptus Mechanicus was going to abandon the Imperium or defect somehow with close links to the Death Guard? Am I making that up, or did I read rumours that could potentially happen? Yeah, let me know, because I'd be interested to see if I've just made that whole thing up in my head. Right, next up we've got Vanguard Swarms. Swarms. The Tyranid Swarm fights using advanced strategy and tactics. Before assaulting a world in force, the hive mind will dispatch stealthy packs of hunter-killers to infiltrate the planet's defences. These Vanguard organisms will ruthlessly work to gather vital intelligence while spreading fear and disarray. And then that goes through their kind of factions. The Gene Stealer cults, the fact that you're using ambush tactics. And then it's got invasion swarms. Not two Tyranid invasion forces are quite alike, but all are terrifying to behold. Descending from the sky in biological landing craft, a Tyranid invasion will often consist of several towering synaptic beasts. Each of these will have total control over vast swarms of ferocious war organisms. Nice. And then it goes through termagants and hormagaunts. both of which I believe, are we getting these for in this collection later on as part of our combat patrol for the Tyranids? Not sure, but we'll definitely get one of them. I'm not sure if we're getting both. Okay, so then we're talking about the Von Ryan's Leapers. So this is a kind of naming section and that kind of thing. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. And then it's got our data sheet. Movement of 10, toughness of 5, saves on a 4 up or a 6 up invulnerable save. 3 wounds, 8 up leadership, and OC. What does OC? I've not played any current edition 40k. OC objective control. I'm pretty sure I remember that being. Okay, so that's that. So Tyranid units. A little bit of information about it. It's got the name. They're obsessed with these naming tables. Okay, so that's pretty cool. More name stuff. I'm not doing that. Right. Okay. So this week's little mission: Predator and Pay. The captain in Terminator armor has fended off the winged Tyranid Prime, but more Tyranids are on the way. A trio of Von Ryan's Leapers has been dispatched to the hive mind to protect its territory from the invaders. By combining their strength, they may be able to overwhelm the captain in Terminator armor. So, models, units, and more. I'm sure that's going to go through the fact that a captain is a model on its own, but that model is a unit, just in the same way as the Von Ryan's Leaper is 3 models, but still a single unit. Intro concepts. Battles are not won by individuals, but by the collective effort of vast groups of soldiers. Okay, so yeah, that's doing more again there about the one unit. Difference. Each Ryan's Leaper has 6 attacks for a massive total of 18 attacks with the Leaper's talons. Crikey, that's a lot. The captain in Terminator armor wounds a Von Ryan Leaper. Further wounds must be allocated to this Von Ryan's Leaper until it is slain. So it's got, back to the data sheet, 3 wounds each. So that wounds 3, it's 3 for each model. Okay, I'm going to need some more dice. We got 6 with issue 1, and the Von Ryan Leapers, if they are, they're rolling 6 each. That is a lot of dice going into our Captain in Terminator armor. Okay, mission 2, Predator and Prey. In this mission, you'll fight a battle between the Von Ryan Leapers and the Captain in Terminator armor. You'll use dice to determine who wins the battle and who is slain. Follow the steps in the next 2 pages. You can play through this battle on your own, or have a friend make the rolls for the Captain in Terminator armor. So to deploy for this battle, first place your battle mat on a flat surface, preferably somewhere you won't be disturbed, and with room for you to also place this issue next to the battlefield. Next, place your models in the center of the board. So we're going to have our captain on this side, and on the image it has the Von Ryan Leapers right in on him. He's screwed, by the way. The battle ends immediately when 1 unit is slain. Captain Terminator is slain when he suffers 6 wounds, while a single Von Ryan's Leaper is slain when they suffer 3 wounds. Von Ryan Leapers have lots of attacks, 18. When attacking with the Von Ryan Leapers, break up their attacks into batches of 6 or simply use more dice from your collection. This ain't my first rodeo with these magazines. Right, so I've got 18 dice for our Von Ryan's Leapers. Okay, so we've got 1 captain versus 3 Von Ryan's Leapers. The Leapers roll 6 dice each, and they go first. Okay, so they hit on 3. So we take away anything that is less than a 3. Threes though are good. Okay, and then they wound on a 4. Captain's got six wounds available. Okay, so anything less than a 4 we take away. Cool, it wasn't great actually. Only two out of all those go through. Okay, so Captain needs to get a 3 or more to save these. And look at that. Doesn't save either of them, so he takes 2 wounds, so he's got 4 left. We're going to use a spare dice to mark that he's only got 4 wounds left. But it's his turn now. So he rolls 6 dice. He hits on a 2. 4 go through. And he wounds on a 4. 2 go through. And then the leapers, they save on a 6. Now against the relic blade, they save on a 6. So let's see what they get. Don't save anything. So one of these models takes 2 wounds. So we're going to use a spare dice to track that. We'll pop it right in the middle there, so we don't get it confused with anything else that we're rolling. We can still see that too. Okay, right. The leapers have got another go. So again, hitting on 3. So fail, 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 fail. Lots of fails. Wounding on 4s. Okay, very successful there. Okay, now the captain needs to roll a 3 or more on all of those wounding rolls. So if he saves a 3, so if he rolls a 3 or more, he saves it. Anything less than that, he takes the wound. Okay, so he saved them all except for 1. So he takes 1 more wound and he's down to 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's his turn to hit back again. Hitting on 2s. We'll go through except for 1. Wounding on 4s. Just 2 go through. And the leapers need a 6 to save those. Let's have a look. And they don't save any of them. So one of these models is dead, because he's lost another 2 wounds, and one of them is down to 2 already. So one of them is dead, and the other 2 are at full health. So what does that mean for our next roll? Well, it means that they roll 6 dice per model. So it's not a total for the unit, it's for the models in the unit. So that's 12 dice they roll. So let's see how they get on. So, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 4s. Okay, and then so it's 4 that went through. So saving on a 3 up. Space Marine saves. He saves 3 of them. So that's 1 more damage take, so he's down to 2. But he's going to come straight back. Fighting against the Von Ryan's Leapers again. So needs 2s to hit. Makes them all except for 1. Needs 4 to wound. And everyone's cocked. Let's try again. They all go through. So 5 have gone through. That's a really good roll actually from the Space Marine captain. So they need 6 to save this lot. 6s. So they save 1 wound. So they take 4. So that's another model dead. And the one that's left has taken a wound. So it has 2 left. So let's finish this battle. Final Von Ryan's Leapers. So now down to just 6 dice. Hitting on 3s. 4 go through. Wounding on 4s. Just 2 go through. Captain will save on a 3. Saves them both. Captain will hit back. Hitting on 2s. Oh, it'll go through except for 2. Wounding on 4s. 1, 2, 3 go through. So 2 wounds left. So he needs to save 2 of these. So he needs 2 6s out of these last 3 dice. And he doesn't do it. Last von Ryan's Leaper is dead. Captain in Terminator wins the fight. So lots and lots of dice there being rolled. But what's important, if you look at the difference between the two, Tyrannid hits on 3s. Terminator Captain hits on 2s, so more likely to hit. They both wound on the same. So I'm actually surprised that the Terminator Captain got away with that. But yeah, it does show that those sort of minor changes in the wounds can make a big difference. But the biggest difference here is that Space Marine Captain saved on a 3. So 2 out of 3 saving rolls he tried were going to go through. Whereas for the Nids, it was 1 in 6. But yeah, cool little battle there. The battle ends for now. Congratulations, you've fought with units for the first time. Did the Captain in Terminator Did the Captain in Terminator Armor triumph, or was he slain? Well, yep, he was victorious. So Space Marine's victory, battered, beaten, but unbroken. The Captain plunges his blade into the last von Ryan's Leaper. He triggers his emergency transponder, for more Tyrannids are surely on their way, and the reinforcements will be required. Cool. Oh yeah, we've got more wound markers on here. Cool. Okay, so next issue. So it's going to be a while till we get this one. Infernus Marines. I will actually. So this 3rd issue should also be in shop. So I'm going to try and get this 3rd issue, so there's not such a long gap between this review and the next one. So hopefully I'll be back next week for this review of the Infernus Marines. But then what we'll do is I'll do the videos as and when I receive my my subscription, and I will probably continue to review weekly. So we've got something every week rather than just doing them all when I receive them. Space them out so as I've got some regular content coming back and forth for you guys. But yeah, I enjoyed that issue. Very good. The Von Ryan Leapers is a very good saving on this one. I mean, this magazine, if you manage to get this in the shops, I think you can buy this one for, is it $4.99? I think it's $4.99 for this issue. But yeah, more than worth it for those Von Ryan Leapers. I mean, they're very good models, but if you want to buy them separately, they are a lot more than that. So yeah, very, very happy this week. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you are subscribed and all that sort of stuff, so you'll see for the next content that comes out. I don't know what I'm going to do about painting these guys yet. I'm not much of a painter, to be honest with you. I don't get paint to the table that often. I'm interested though for the return of the Silver Templars, which was from the original 40k Conquest magazine. So I'm interested in them coming back. So maybe I'll paint up some Silver Templars going forward. But for the Tyranids, I don't know. I think I'm just going to go for some sort of crazy fluorescent madness. Just as many different colours and stupidity on the model as I can in the shortest period of time. But I'll have a good think about that. But I will let you know what I'm doing. We will come back with some painting in the future. But thanks for watching, guys. Much appreciated. Best way you can support me is by using my affiliate link for Element Games, which you'll find in the description and pinned in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you later.